Hello, and welcome back to the ALeeT Podcast, where we discover our true selves in the real time. Now, this podcast is where we talk about strength, power, unity, and growth, or SPUG. And because just like Rome, we can't become the people we want to be in a day, we have to work at it. We have to become it. Then eventually we'll all realize that the people and places that we come in contact with along the way still hold on to the things that we said years ago. And what is that? It's a habit. And it's our penultimate tenet, legacy. I didn't do this last week, but this week I feel like it's appropriate. I want to go and tell you Webster's Dictionary's version of what legacy means, vice what it means to me and this podcast. So if you actually look it up, it's the second definition: something transmitted by or received from an ancestor or predecessor or from the past. That's kind of counterintuitive if you ask me, because I think that with pop culture going the way that it is, it could be about so much more than that, and just how history works, right? But anyway, my point here is legacy isn't the finish line. I think people get legacy wrong. I think Webster's Dictionary gets it wrong. They think legacy is what happens after you're dead. I think legacy starts the first time someone changes because they met you, whether that's physically, spiritually, socially, or mentally. I want to also share with you this piece. This is from a forthcoming document known as the SPUG Manifesto. So how we have it written is legacy is choosing impact over image, knowing influence is measured in lives touched, not applause earned, planting seeds of knowledge, kindness, and courage that may bloom in seasons we will never see. Building systems, families, and communities that endure long after our names are forgotten. And carrying forward the stories of those who came before us, ensuring their wisdom fuels the future. So let me tell you what I think of as soon as I read that. Planting seeds of knowledge, kindness, courage. It's funny that it reminds me of my Mee-Maw. And if any of y'all know my Mee-Maw, you would know that she basically lived in her garden. Her flowers were always the prettiest flowers on the entire street. She had pansies, morning glories, daffodils, violets, tulips. She had just about everything that you could imagine, and they were in different places throughout the yard. It's a very big yard. She would always be out there either pulling weeds or making sure that the buds are getting enough water. It was just amazing. Granted, there were some tornadoes right around the time that she passed, but just seeing those flowers thrive for at least the next couple of years after she passed, it was like she never left. However, we're not talking about literal flowers here. We're talking about the warmth, the love, the smiles, the laughter. And I found out recently that a lot of people don't have the ability to see images in their head, but even fewer people can taste the past. I am lucky enough that if I want to taste a good bowl of my Mee-Maw's chicken and dumplings, then I can just reach back and taste it. Instant dopamine hit. It's beautiful. what's even more beautiful is I had the pleasure of eating her food every single day for nearly 22 years. The different people who would come up to my family members when we were out and about, they would say, "Oh, I love going to Mary John's house. She made the best blank." Like, it didn't matter what it was. And it's not just that she made the good food, it's that she made you feel like you were part of the family, even if you weren't. I mean, lucky for me, I was, but let me ask y'all, how many people remember their grandmother's bank account? Now, how many people remember how she hugged them? Legacy isn't what you leave for people, it's what you leave in them. If you know anything about college football, then you've heard the name Nick Saban. If you know about Nick Saban, then you know about the process. The process, when he was the coach at Alabama, it's not about football. The process was about people. If you look back at how he built the program, how he would recruit players, making sure that they all bought into the process. He hired a strength and conditioning coach that catered/tailored to each player's strength, durability, whatever it was that they needed to get after, to become better players, to become better people, to become better men, to become better athletes. The whole team of coaches and all of that, they were all there. We had tutors, we had all that stuff. And I say we, and I haven't been to the University of Alabama, but soon enough. It's about becoming the kind of player or the kind of person who deserves championships. Who not only deserves championships, but wins championships. Because Roll Tide. So that's exactly how legacy works. You don't chase legacy, you chase excellence. Legacy catches up. Think about that for a second. We all know that I spent 22 years in the military, but you don't get to spend 22 years in the military without making a few mistakes in your career. Some of those mistakes were costly. I never got demoted, but that was by the grace of the commanders that I had whenever trouble arose. People gave me chances based on the fact that I have integrity and based off the fact that I am not egotistical. I have trophies to prove this. I was the best operator in the unit. But that doesn't matter. I'm not talking about the good things. I'm talking about the bad. I'm talking about the things that I did along the way that made me realize, oh, you cannot use your government travel card while you're taking leave en route to a permanent change of station or PCS. See, I was told otherwise by my resource advisor. I was told wrong. I got caught in some mess. So I told my troops, anytime you go TDY, anytime you PCS, any of that, bring some extra money. Save some money before you go. And most of the time, they were better with money than I ever could have dreamed of being. They would tell me how much money was in their account, and I would say, that's great, you're already planning ahead. So you're already doing better than I was when I was your rate. Obviously, these troops already had it good. They already had it figured out. But me telling them this story, they could then use that story to impact other troops. That's legacy. Now, when it comes to SPUG, I've never believed greatness begins at the finish line. Where does my legacy come in? Every step of the way. Strength. Strength isn't muscles. It's keeping your word. It's showing up. It's doing the right thing after nobody is clapping. I've been going through some tough time in my head. Definitely not at work. Work is great. But I have some issues dealing with certain things. I was letting it eat away at me last weekend to the point where I got really down on myself for letting it affect me the way that it did. And I almost gave up, but I was like, no, I have too much going on right now. I have the podcast. I have a new job that's freaking amazing. I have Jax. I have this really cool book idea, which that came up this week, but still, it's a good idea. I have some great ideas when it comes to ALeeT squared creative solutions. We'll get into that later on, but that is strength. It's showing up even when things are getting hard. And of course, yes, that falls into discipline as well and resilience. But that's what we're talking about here, is the strength piece and knowing that you can still build on your legacy. Power. So I used to think power meant influence. It doesn't really mean influence. It could. However, I look at power as self-control. It's being angry and choosing not to make the situation worse. Sometimes the strongest thing you'll ever do is walk away. And that is something that my therapist said just this week. Unity. So this one's my favorite. You know why? Because nobody gets anywhere alone. You can point that at every facet of my life. There's always been somebody who has pushed me to be a better version of myself. I'm going to go ahead and say this here because Dickon might be listening. He pushed me really hard when we were stationed together. He's my former supervisor. Back then, I said that I wanted to be a first sergeant eventually, which you have to be a tech sergeant if you want to be an additional duty first sergeant. But that's not all that it takes. It takes a lot. You need to really get into the weeds. You need to know your various regs and how to deal with people, even when you might end up looking like the bad guy. And what I mean by that is to the person who's getting into trouble, not being the bad guy as in like you're a bad person or something like that. You have to be able to stand up for the officers in charge. You have to be a good follower before you can be a good leader. That is the piece. But he listened to the podcast, the mentorship episode, and he called me on the phone and let me know how proud of me he was. And that's freaking beautiful. Now, like I said, I can point to various people throughout my history. That was a big one. What I really like about my new job is we have a place called Grandma's House. Now, I've done talked about my Mee-Maw. That's my grandma, but I don't call her that. We never did. And if I ever called her that to her face, she would think that something was wrong with me. She's like, when did you stop calling me Mee-Maw? And I'm like, I'm sorry, Mee-Maw. So, yes, Grandma's House. It's so that people who come in will get to know each other and will be able to share the resources, because we don't even work in the same building. You got to make sure that you're sharing the resources with each other. I love that. And it brings that communication in. And so I shared the mentorship episode with them, and I have at least one new listener. That's ALeeT. All right, growth. So growth is weird. You don't notice it while it's happening. You notice it when the problem that would have broken you last year becomes the story you tell this year. And that goes along the same lines of what Dickon told me when he called me. Back then, it hurt that I'm using air quotes here, wasn't allowed to be additional duty first sergeant. But he's the first person that I called when I earned it. That's growth. You think that somebody's the enemy? They're not the enemy. You're your own enemy. You have to work that out. Let me tell you something total here. This job that I'm working, I never even thought that I was an engineer while I was in the military. I was just a space systems operator. And then I retire from the military and I look at my EPRs, that's an enlisted performance report, versus the expectations of a systems engineer. If you look at the requirements of a systems engineer and you compare that to what space operators do, space operators are engineers, systems engineers. And I just gave away my secret. There you go. Free information right here from the ALeeT Podcast. I'm saying that, though, to say this. Once I got to my new company, I'm the only test engineer that is on a team of developers. My manager put me on this Python boot camp. I am not a developer. When it came to the test, I made a 97%, which means that I wrote the code almost perfectly. And I don't write code. I was kind of just following the examples. And then I turned kind of like Half-Blood Prince and started like dabbling a little bit. Because at first I was at 70-something%, and then I changed 2 pieces of information that I noticed were not on the test because the system, like the readout, told me that they weren't being tested. So once I did that, then it got to 97%. But anyway, my manager saw it. He is a software developer. He said it looked great, and I merged it, closed the ticket, and guess what? Still not a developer. But I am someone who's willing to learn. I wasn't hired to be a developer. I was hired to be a tester. This just gives me the ability to bridge the knowledge gap between the testers and the developers. So am I gloating? No. I'm just saying that if I can do it, so can you. I think. So bringing it home, people ask me all the time, what does SPUG actually mean? It means becoming stronger, using your power wisely. And if you use your power wisely, you can build unity. And if we build unity, then we all grow. That is SPUG. And if enough people do that, then that's my legacy. But since I'm sharing it with you, it becomes your legacy. Here's my question. When your grandchildren or your students, your coworkers, or complete strangers talk about you one day, what story will they tell? Because they're already writing it. So are you. Every single day. So next week, we get to dive into reflection. We get to look back on everything that we've learned and how have we applied it. I know I left y'all for a while there, but what happens after reflection? Season 2 is going to be so freaking beautiful. I said it last week, I'll say it again. And once again, if you did not know, I'm Lee Thomas, and until next time, keep chasing the process, keep Keep building something worth passing on. And as always, stay Spuggin' ALeeT. Over.